My sister-in-law was born with hypoglycemia, yet she insisted I help her donate blood. Later, her entire family was diagnosed with AIDS. She hysterically accused me, claiming that the needle I used to draw her blood was contaminated. If you hadn't used a needle previously used on an AIDS patient to stab my veins, I wouldn't have gotten AIDS. Even if you wanted me dead, my unborn son was innocent. We went through countless IVF treatments to conceive him. I couldn't defend myself, becoming the family's scapegoat. On the day of her abortion, my brother pushed me into a frozen river, leaving me to freeze to death. After dying, I learned the truth. My sister-in-law had contracted AIDS through an affair, and the baby belonged to her lover. She framed me to cover her tracks. When I reopened my eyes, I was back at the day she demanded blood donation. Yao Yao, you know I have delicate veins and fear needles, but I can't miss this charity event. I only trust you to draw my blood this afternoon. Yao Yao, are you listening? I need to donate blood. She patted my arm impatiently. I stared at her, icy dread rising from my core, shivering uncontrollably. In my past life, she forced me to draw her blood despite her hypoglycemia. On her birthday, she suddenly clutched her stomach, screaming in pain. When we rushed over, her lower body was drenched in blood. My mother frantically called 119, while my brother Zhao Xing carried her to the hospital. After emergency surgery, we learned her AIDS infection caused the miscarriage. Why mother, desperate for grandchildren, collapsed upon hearing the news. When my brother tested HIV positive, he confronted her. She grabbed my collar, wailing, "Ask your sister. She did this." I protested my innocence. Subsequent tests showed only she and my brother were infected. She screeched, "You tampered with the blood draw. You used a dirty needle from an AIDS patient. You killed my son. We worked so hard through IVF." Her words poisoned my family against me. My mother slapped me. "You killed my grandson." My father kicked me down. "You ended our family line." That night, my brother drowned me in icy waters. As a ghost, I learned her lover, an AIDS carrier, was the baby's father. She framed me to hide her affair. "Reborn, I'll ruin her schemes." Seeing my silence, she pouted. "Yao Yao, if you won't help, I'll complain to your hospital director." I smiled gently. "I'm concerned about your health. Donating blood could worsen your hypoglycemia." "Nonsense. This builds good karma for my future son." She raised her voice theatrically. "After donating, I might finally conceive." My parents glared at me. I conceded. "Fine, I'll help you contribute to charity." As she smirked triumphantly, a journalist approached. "Could we interview you about this Ishin act?" Last life we refused. Now I agreed instantly. "Of course." When the camera focused on her, she snapped. "Don't film my blood draw. That's private." The journalist turned to me. I demonstrated the process on camera. We always use brand new sterilized equipment for each donor. Every step follows strict disinfection protocols. The journalist praised my professionalism. Suddenly, my sister-in-law stood up coldly. I changed my mind. "I won't donate." The journalist stared in confusion. I understood. With video evidence, she couldn't frame me later. Yet the crisis still came on her birthday. Emerging from her room with a pregnancy test, I announced, "Mom! Dad! She's pregnant!" My mother wept with joy. My brother beamed at his wife. My father clapped. "A birthday baby! Double celebration!" She snatched the test strip, panic-stricken. "These aren't reliable. We need hospital confirmation." I urged. "Let's go to the hospital after dinner. This can't wait." She glared at me with venomous hatred, remaining silent. Then in the corner of no one, I see, he stuck an HIV needle on my stool. Fortunately, I installed a camera in my house in advance. During dinner, I took him to the room to call my brother for dinner. Secretly swapped Dad and my stools. My dad just sat down, jumped off like a needle. "Ouch, my butt hurts." "Dad, what's the matter with you? Where does it hurt?" I pretend to care and walk over. "But pain. My dad is not well. Usually the back, legs and feet will hurt from time to time." My mother frowned, and blamed me for saying it all. "Let you eat less spicy food. It must be hemorrhoids." Sister-in-law saw me leave my seat. Keep urging me. "Yao Yao, hurry up and sit down and eat. I specially bought a Beijing waist for you today." I also lived up to his kindness. He immediately returned to his seat and sat down. Under his expectant gaze, I just sat down and pretended to be stabbed by a nail. Bounced off the stool. "My butt hurts too." There was blood. "Yao Yao, your dad's butt hurts because of hemorrhoids. Could it be that you have hemorrhoids too?" My mom glared at me disapprovingly. My dad cursed even more. "You heartless white-eyed wolf. Make fun of me. See if I hit you later." I feigned grievance, and showed the blood on my hand to everyone. "See, I'm not lying. I must have nails on this stool. Otherwise, why is my butt bleeding? Hear me." Sister-in-law instantly upturned the corners of her mouth. Happy eyebrows. But she was careful to contain her smile. "Yao Yao, you must have been stabbed by the barbs of this wooden chair. If you are worried, your brother, and I will take you to the hospital later." I was about to speak. My dad hit me with a chopstick. "What hospital are you going to? Even if a nail does stab you. So what? This injury will be almost fine in the hospital. Be in a hurry to waste money. Why don't you buy something delicious for your sister-in-law? Let her give it to me. We have a big fat boy." I pouted and said nothing. But apparently sister-in-law prefers to go to the hospital. She has sharp eyes. I just looked down and saw a lot of blood on my dad's pants. The old man is old, less sensitive to pain. But seeing blood all over the ground, she was also confused. How can these hemorrhoids bleed so much? Sister-in-law quickly persuaded Dad. Yao Yao's but injury is a trivial matter. You can skip the hospital. But your hemorrhoids are bleeding so much. Definitely have to go to the hospital. And I also want to make sure if I'm really pregnant. My dad doesn't insist on getting dressed right now. The family came to the hospital in a mighty manner. While waiting for Dad's test results, I looked at my sister-in-law and brother with concern. Say you go for a pregnancy test too. Don't worry. Dad, I have my mom here. Brother nodded. I went with my sister-in-law. Soon, the doctor frowned and walked out of the diagnosis room. Which of you is Zhao Zhengwo's family member? My mother and I quickly walked over to say hello. The old man's but is fine. But you have to be prepared. He has AIDS. Are you aware of this as a family member? What? My mom's eyes widened in disbelief. He rushed into the diagnostic room, dragging my father's clothes and howling at Zhao Zhengwo. You are 60. The man who is about to become a grandfather. You actually ran out and fooled around with wild women. Do you want some face? Dad looks puzzled. It must be a misdiagnosis. I never went out to fool around. I can't get AIDS. My mom doesn't listen to excuses. If you can't move, scratch your father's neck. Blood stains on the face. Terrible. My brother came in a hurry with his sister-in-law, who just finished the pregnancy test. After learning that my father had contracted AIDS, sister-in-law frowned and asked her mother, "What about Yao Yao? Is he infected?" My brother is surprised that my father has AIDS. Why do you keep asking Yao Yao? Sister-in-law was speechless. I'll help him out quickly, brother. You don't understand my sister-in-law. It means he cares about me. I feel like our family lives together every day. Health risks are inevitable. Just asked if I was okay. But he did remind me. My friends and the whole family should go for screening. So everyone is at ease. When the blood was drawn, the sister-in-law was very uneasy. My brother comforts his wife gently, don't be afraid. Blood tests are also for peace of mind. We're gonna be okay. 2 hours later, laboratory physician, come out with several blood test sheets. My brother saw the doctor come out. Immediately asked the doctor if my wife and I are positive. Your family, except for Zhao Yao and his mother. You are all AIDS patients. And the doctor looked at my brother a little angrily. You as a husband, really irresponsible. He is pregnant. How could you risk him getting infected? Your wife is now HIV positive. If the baby in the womb is born, it's going to be AIDS. You think about it. If you don't want this child. My brother was shocked by the results. Did the doctor misdiagnose it? How could my wife and I possibly have AIDS? Isn't this AIDS only sexually transmitted? The doctor gave him a disdainful look. If you don't believe our hospital's test report, you can check with another one. My brother is still sick. The sister-in-law suddenly cried bitterly. Zhao Sheng, you must be messing around outside. That made us mother and child infected with AIDS. This good family has been ruined by you. Sister-in-law said while beating my brother's chest. I have no face to live. I fought with you. I watched him act coldly. This pot is really crisp. I'm going to give him a thumbs up. If I didn't know the truth, I was about to be fooled by him. While they were arguing, I quickly sent a message to my sister-in-law's cheating partner. Chao Qin is pregnant with your child, now preparing for abortion at the city hospital. After sending the message, I just turned off the phone. Don't forget to turn off my sister-in-law's mobile phone, while taking advantage of the chaos. Brother kneels on the ground, tears streaming down my face. The hand holding Chao Qin is on. Do you want no? We're going to keep the baby. This is what we came up with after a lot of hard work. We will never have children again. Sister-in-law stared. Get his hands off me. Keep, what do you think? How will this child grow up in the future? Can you afford the medical bills? Did you think about his future life? Knock it out. My brother's voice trembled. You are willing. You are really willing. He who was kneeling stood up angrily. Point at him and scold. Do you know what you're saying? If you say kill it, kill it. Are you still a woman? Why so cruel? She is your biological child. She is not a kitten picked up on the road. And the puppy will throw it away if it says so. Scolding. The pimple suddenly came back to taste. Wait, you're the one in my family who really has AIDS. I still have my dad. My mom and Yao Yao are fine. Think of this. And it dawned on him. Slap him in the face. You actually slept with my dad behind my back. No wonder this child is not wanted if you say no. It was a wild one. Hear my brother's roar. My mom was so bloody. Right now, I'm tearing and tearing like crazy at my dad. A state where either you die or I die today. Since my brother married his sister-in-law. That's obedience. Don't talk about hitting people. He didn't even say anything serious. Today's slap. How could my sister-in-law tolerate it? Even if you go down with a big belly. I also fought with my brother with my teeth and claws. She is a woman after all. My brother slapped. I'm a little less angry. I didn't expect my sister-in-law to be straightened out. She's still angry. She scolds and scratches. You bastard. How dare you hit me? I was blind to marry you. I didn't enjoy a day. Instead you were raped. I won't scratch back today. My surname is not Chow. You have the ability to hit a woman. I can't get pregnant. In the end, you still can't do it yourself. You are not a man. Sister-in-law broke my brother's face in a few times, coupled with unscrupulous words to uncover my brother's scars. Enraged him completely, he grabbed his sister-in-law by the collar. Red-faced stinky bitch. You have a reason to steal men outside. Since you don't want the face, then don't blame me for being rude. After saying that, he slapped a few times. Sister-in-law's face suddenly swelled into steamed buns. Blood is flowing from the corners of the mouth. Sister-in-law was completely crazy after being beaten up. Shaggy hair. But my brother. I have AIDS anyway. I can't live. Why don't we all die together? Brother dodge. Sister-in-law tried too hard and didn't stop. Hit the wall directly. Instant head burst. The formerly private parents stopped. Frightened by this scene, the doctor came and yelled that your family is crazy. This is a hospital. Call security again. He didn't finish his sentence. Sister-in-law clutching her stomach. How my stomach hurt so much. I saw him half lying by the wall. There was no blood on his face. Cold sweat on forehead. Blood started to flow out between the legs. The doctor saw something bad. Hurry up and call my brother to take your daughter-in-law into the operating room. She's bleeding out. Brother stands still, full of disgust. He hit the wall himself. None of my business. I'm reminding GA. She's your wife. If you don't save people, you are also responsible for the loss of life. Brother reluctantly, pick him up, and rush into the operating room with the doctor. A few hours later, sister-in-law is pushed out. The doctor removes the mask. Say it with a dark face. You don't have to be torn anymore. The baby is gone. Sister-in-law listens to the child. Like thunder. Hates staring at me. Why didn't you catch morning? Obviously I looked at him calmly. Obviously what are you? His eyes start to avoid. I'm too lazy to pay attention. Because the show is about to begin. Not long after, strange man enters the ward. Chao Qing, you are so bold. Who told you to abort my child? This sentence attracts everyone's attention. All looking at men. Everyone was stunned. How many men did this woman have affairs with? I have nothing to do with my father-in-law. Here comes another one. I recognize this man. I came home from get off work to meet my sister-in-law. Talk to him with contempt. Sister-in-law lied about asking for directions. Although I have a question. I didn't think much about it, and met a few times. Brother has a strict wife. It's no good for me to talk too much. Choose to shut up. In my previous life, I found out later. This man has been arrested several times for soliciting prostitution. Bad reviews. Even if my sister-in-law was sweet because of her. Fascinated by her. But her parents ultimately preferred the one who was chasing her at the time. Honest brother. But what you can't get is always in turmoil. I don't know when after marriage. The two hooked up again. Dry firewood. Out of control. This man's ex-wife. Also because of his AIDS problem. Divorced him. 2 without children. So the child became Wang Ming's obsession. So I know. Just send him a message. He will come. Chao Qing saw him. Petrochemical on the spot. I obviously didn't contact him. How did he know he was in the hospital? And came over. My brother's eyes are like knives. Gun sweep. Just now I was stubborn with my brother. He was clearly at a loss. But I can't wait for him to deny it. He was savagely dragged out of bed by the man. My Wang Ming's child. You can fight if you say so. What do you take me for? Downloaded tools. Or a one-night stand toy. Don't you tell me today? I won't let you go. Sister-in-law sees that he is irrational. I'm about to roll out of bed. Quickly ask my brother for help. Husband, I don't know this lunatic. You make him stop. You shut up. He doesn't know you. Can I know your name? Are you fooling the ghost? After your brother's big business. The sister-in-law immediately shut her mouth. He looked at Wang Ming. Asked viciously. When did you start hitting on my wife? I hooked up with him. Wang Ming said in tears. Don't you know how hot your wife is? He obviously hooked me up. My brother has never seen such a shameless person. I was so angry that I couldn't speak. The man squinted at his brother. It doesn't matter, keep saying that. Brother's anger is ignited. He punched Wang Ming in the face. And asked my brother if this fist is strong enough. Wang Ming was beaten back several steps. Wang Ming is fierce. Say brother is a wimp. Brother is shaking with anger. Chest heaving violently. Brother rushed over to choke Wang Ming again. Wang Ming is ready, struggling to grab his hand. The two scuffled together. Chaos. My mother saw her son being beaten. Hurry up and rush. My father went to break up the fight. But he was kicked by my mother and accused. My father had no choice, but to continue to join the fight. I watched this good show and sneered in my heart. One is my malicious sister-in-law who wants to pin her adultery and abortion on me. One is my elder brother who only cares about his small family, and doesn't care about his family members. There are also my father who values sons over daughters, and my mother who can't tell right from wrong. You can just fight among yourselves like dogs biting each other. The fight between the 4 of them made such a big commotion that it constituted a group fight. Someone called the police. When the police came and saw that the old and the young were all injured, they were very speechless. When my elder brother saw the police coming, he immediately complained. Officer, arrest this adulterous couple and sentence them. My mother pulled my elder brother. Son, don't be impulsive. We haven't figured out who the adulterer of this bitch is yet. Your father is also a suspect. My father stamped his feet in a hurry. Why did I marry such a stupid wife? Who would be willing to admit to such a messy thing? You're in charge of our family's finances, and I don't have the money to hire someone. My mother was half believing and half doubting. Well, it's quite possible that both of you are her lovers. I took out the home surveillance video and showed it to my mother. Mom, just now when Dad had a physical examination, the doctor said that the blood on his, but wasn't from hemorrhoids but from a puncture. Our home was burglarized before, so I installed a camera. I just remembered this, and retrieved the video. You'll know what's going on once you take a look. My mother picked up the phone, and saw that my sister-in-law furtively pricked her finger, and then fixed the blood-stained nail in a hidden part of the chair. Mom, now you know how Dad got infected with AIDS, right? She wanted to harm someone, but unexpectedly, Dad was unlucky and sat on it. I looked at my mother with an innocent face, and I didn't show her the part where I swapped the stools. My mother was so angry that she threw the phone. Regardless of whether the police were there or not, she reached out and scratched my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was so scared that she hid behind Wang Ming. My elder brother pushed Wang Ming aside, and my mother scratched my sister-in-law's face. Several blood marks appeared on her face, and she let out a scream. My father vented his anger on my sister-in-law. The two old people beat my sister-in-law, and she wailed and begged for mercy. My mother beat her and scolded her for not carrying on the family line of the Zhao family, and so on. Chao Qin covered her face and shouted to explain, but I interrupted her. I said that if I hadn't avoided sitting on that chair, the Zhao family would have almost been left without an heir, and Dad became even angrier. Dad spat a thick glob of phlegm in her face, and cursed her for ruining the whole family. Old woman, beat her hard. Such a bad woman doesn't deserve any mercy. Encouraged by my father, my mother beat her even more vigorously. At first, Chao Qin struggled a few times, but she had just had an induced abortion, and was physically weak. Soon she couldn't struggle anymore. Wang Ming was just about to help Chao Qin, but unfortunately, he was held tightly by my elder brother, and couldn't intervene. The two old people together were over 100 years old. It was difficult for the police to stop the fight, and it was also difficult for them not to stop it, since Chao Qin deserved what she got. Seeing that the old people couldn't beat her to death, the police let my parents beat her until they were tired out, and then the police spoke. Because my parents were old, and there was a reason for this incident, the police only took my elder brother and Wang Ming away. The hospital was afraid that other patients would look down on Chao Qin, because she was an AIDS patient, so she had to go home with us. 2 days later, I received a call from the police station, saying that they were suspected of picking a fight and brawling, and would be detained for about 2 weeks. My parents were worried about my elder brother. My mother kept crying Anwuja her chest, saying it hurt. My father was infuriated when he saw Chao Qin. He rushed into the room, dragged her up and slapped her. She couldn't withstand the violent beating, and passed out directly. After my elder brother was released from prison, he immediately went through the divorce procedures with Chao Qin, and kicked her out of the house. Gradually, affected by AIDS, my father and elder brother's health got worse and worse, and my mother lived in constant fear every day. When the neighbors found out about our family's situation, they all avoided our house, and our relatives stopped having contact with us. My elder brother sighed all day long at home, saying that he had been ruined by this woman for his whole life. He had lost both his reputation and his health, was fired from the company and became unemployed, and his family was on the verge of falling apart. I made an excuse that my company was moving to the suburban area, and for the convenience of going to work, I lived near the company. My mother wanted me to stay at home and take care of the patients, but I was the only one in the family who could earn money, so she had to agree. After moving out, I rarely went back. I didn't want to be affected by my family and relatives, and I also considered my own health. My elder brother sent messages cursing Chao Qin, saying that he would take revenge on her severely. Anyway, he thought he would die sooner or later. Remembering my tragic death in my previous life, my heart stirred, and I knew the opportunity had come. I happened to meet Chao Qin and Wang Ming while handling some affairs. They were strolling in the park, holding hands affectionately. After the divorce, my sister-in-law completely gave up on herself. She was with Wang Ming, and neither of them minded the other's situation. I deliberately took photos of their happy moments, and sent them in the family group. Half an hour later, my elder brother came over menacingly. He punched Wang Ming from behind, and Wang Ming, who was caught off guard, fell down instantly. When Chao Qin turned around, and saw it was my elder brother, she immediately let out a scream in the street out of fear. When my elder brother saw Wang Ming fall to the ground, his eyes were bloodshot, and he drew Chao Qin's neck while speaking. Chao Qin was choked so that she couldn't speak. She feebly slapped my elder brother's arm, and tears streamed down her face. My elder brother sneered in disdain. After he finished speaking, Wang Ming hit my elder brother on the head with a brick, and my elder brother released Chao Qin. Blood flowed from my elder brother's head to his neck. He wiped it and took out a dagger, saying that he wanted to die together with them. When Wang Ming saw the dagger, he panicked. My elder brother grinned menacingly and stabbed at him. Wang Ming was stabbed and died on the spot. Chao Qin was so scared that she went dumbfounded and sat on the ground, not daring to move. My elder brother turned around and walked towards her. Chao Qin waved her hands and cried out, begging him not to kill her. My elder brother didn't stop. After a few screams, Chao Qin fell silent. My elder brother looked at the two people on the ground, and then at his own blood-covered hands. He laughed wildly. I'll be a hero again 20 years later. After saying that, he stabbed himself. My parents soon received a call from the police. When they went to the morgue to identify the bodies, my mother fainted on the ground, and my father almost couldn't stand up. He was speechless for a long time. Only I remained relatively calm, and cooperated with the police to go through all the procedures. The police who responded to the call sighed when they looked at our family. They never expected that an ordinary case of infidelity would end up with the family being destroyed. My mother couldn't bear the pain of losing her son in her old age. Soon, she passed away due to a sudden heart attack. My father, who had suffered successive blows, became weaker and weaker. In less than a year, his physical and mental state completely collapsed, and he died of multiple organ failure. I gave them a grand funeral, and arranged their tombs next to my elder brothers, hoping that they could keep each other company after death. After burning the paper offerings, I took one last look at their tombstones, and then walked away without looking back. From then on, we would never see each other again, whether in life or in death.